Streaming's on.
Streaming is on.
Rosie. Very serious. Mr. Chandler. Barrett. Or Boondle. Boondle? Is there a Boondle entertainment centre? Okay, that's Chandler swimming.
Boondle in Chandler.
Two different places. That's not going anywhere. Streaming's on.
Yeah, get it, Scott.
Get it, shot, Tom.
Get down the shoulder.
Streaming's on. Okay.
Okay. Afternoon, everybody. You rolling? You right? Okay. We have a rapidly deteriorating situation in the southwest of our state. A state disaster has been declared. Ian Stewart, our Deputy Commissioner of Police, has been appointed as the State Disaster Management Coordinator, and we have a major emergency unfolding. If I can just go through some of the towns in Mitchell, we have some 75% of the town experiencing inundation. 2 evacuation centres were established in Mitchell. One of those is now isolated and there are concerns about whether it can be adequately supplied. So a relocation exercise is occurring with 300 people being transferred by helicopter to the other evacuation centre. The other evacuation centre is on very high ground. It is a council depot and will be a much safer environment. We're also sending another helicopter with food resupplies to Mitchell, and it's on its way this afternoon from Roma. The population of Mitchell is 750 people, so the relocation of 300 people from one evacuation centre to another that has a capacity close to 500 indicates that this town is going through a very, very significant event. Here, equally in Roma, the flood levels in Roma have been rising very rapidly in the last hour. The Mayor reports that they've seen an increase of 1 metre in the water levels in the past hour. So it is now rising much faster than forecast. It was expected that Roma would see a peak of 8.1 metres by tomorrow morning. It has now reached that peak. That is the peak that it was at in March 2010. So it is, and it's continuing to rise. We have reports of a very potentially serious situation. A child has been rescued and is safe, and there are reports of a woman who is missing. A care flight helicopter is now searching the area looking for the potentially missing woman.
What area is that in?
That's in Roma. In Charleville, the Warrego River is now rising rapidly and is expected to reach 1990 levels. People will remember the very serious flood experienced by Charleville in 1990, which basically took out the whole town. Of course, in 1990, Charleville did not have a levee bank. The current forecasts is that the water will rise to within millimetres of the top of the levee. The question of whether or not it will be contained by the levee is it's not possible to answer at this stage, but we have, however, begun full-scale contingency planning in the event that the levee is breached, because if it is, it will affect the whole town, likely to cut electricity and take out all of the major services. So full-scale contingency planning is now underway for a possible breach of the levee in Charleville. I stress that the current forecasts have the water literally, I think it's within 12 millimetres of the top of the levee, so that's just not enough wriggle room for people to be comfortable. It's expected that that could happen by as early as tomorrow morning, but with the, as we've seen in Roma, some of this is happening faster than we originally forecast. So we are expecting the Warrego River at Charleville to peak around very early tomorrow morning. At St George, we are now anticipating a river peak at St George of 13.4 metres. This is comparable with last year and is the same as 2010. This means that the people of St George will have seen major flooding above 13 metres in 2010, in 2011 and in 2012. The peak in St George is expected at this stage on Tuesday, but with the water coming through Roma at a much faster rate than forecast, there will be more modelling done and that could be brought forward. That sort of peak in St George will also have an effect on surrounding townships like Bligh and some days later cutting off Dirranbandi. Extra SES officers and police have been dispatched into all of these areas. We're in constant contact with the mayors, but it is clear that these areas are dealing with very, very difficult situations and we'll be watching them and monitoring them very carefully in the coming hours and over the weekend. Did you want to add anything?
Thank you, Premier. We currently have 2 of our districts declared as disaster districts. That's the Roma district and Charleville district. We're also watching very carefully Central Queensland up around Alpha Jericho due to the rains and the water movement up there. Obviously, the key message is the same as always. Personal safety is critical. We can replace the houses, we can replace the roads and bridges, but we can't replace people, and we'd urge people to consider their personal safety at all times during this emergency. Thank you.
Premier, why has the response, particularly in Mitchell, been so slow? There's reports of people on the floors of evacuation centres, they've run out of food out there. Why has it been so slow out there?
We haven't got any confirmed reports of there being any failure of food supplies in Mitchell. We are resupplying simply because it is likely that we will see people in centres for a number of days.
Well, reporters who are in the evacuation centres are telling us that people have got no food.
There is food in the evacuation centres. Can I just stress again that what we're engaged in right now is a major relocation exercise, taking some 300 people from another evacuation centre which has now become isolated to the primary evacuation centre. The safety of those people is our first priority. People were evacuated overnight and this morning, so we are talking only a matter of half a day at this stage. There are plenty of food supplies, and I do understand that this is very frightening for people, that they will be very distressed, and we have senior commissioned police officers going there this afternoon to make sure that there is very senior management of the situation. What we saw overnight in Mitchell was a much faster rise than forecast. I've been speaking to the Mayor. We are very confident that people are safe, but I'm no doubt that they are frightened, no doubt that they are uncomfortable. There is plenty of food supplies, but we are asking for patience as we relocate very significant numbers of people to the other facility.
How did it happen that they were in an evacuation centre that obviously was about to flood?
What's happened is that we've seen in Mitchell the highest flood on record. So we are in uncharted waters. The evacuation centre that they were located in is an evacuation centre that has proven up to the task in all other floods. What's happened here is we now have a flood significantly higher than anything else on record, and that's meant that this evacuation centre has become isolated. While people aren't in any immediate danger, having 300 people isolated is an undesirable circumstance, so we're relocating them. In Mitchell, as I say, we are in uncharted waters. The waters are still rising, and we have already seen it exceed the previous record, which I think was sometime in the 1800s. So these are, very, very difficult circumstances for the people of this town.
And tomorrow, will the focus be on St George and then go on with Dirranbandi? Is that correct?
The main focus in the next 24 hours will be Mitchell, Roma and Charleville. The waters coming towards St George are very unlikely to get there until probably Monday at the earliest, but we will have to do some remodelling on that, and that's occurring this afternoon. So the immediate, it'll have to come through Roma before it gets into St George. The water coming down the Warrego, however, is likely to hit Charleville at peak sometime early tomorrow morning.
Premier, are you envisaging, like the disasters last year, having regular updatings over the weekend out here?
We'll be making sure that we give as much information as we can and make it publicly available. I'll come back to you on how often I'm likely to be able to update. At the moment, this is an unfolding emergency situation. I won't be visiting while the emergency is underway. To do so would take up valuable police resources, and we're not about to do that. But I do look forward to being there as soon as it's reasonable and practical to do so.
Can you say specifically when the food supplies will be made, or food drops will be made in this area?
Well, there's already food in Mitchell, but there will be another helicopter full of food supplies and other supplies, bathroom supplies, etc., arriving this afternoon.
And after that, is it planned for the weekend?
Oh, they'll be resupplied as they need it for every day that they're cut off.
Can I ask you about the floods inquiry and I guess concerns about liability impacting on the state government? Are you confident that the state government has no liability over these issues if they're found to breach the dam?
All of these questions are questions for the Commission of Inquiry to answer. Until I see the final report with the conclusions that are reached after all of the evidence and the recommendations, I'm not in a position to comment on hypothetical situations. What I can say is that the Queensland Government has a substantial insurance fund, and should there be any claims, that we are well placed to meet them. But that is, it's far too early to contemplate whether that's necessary. We will wait and see the outcome of the inquiry.
Can you rule out changing the election date?
Look, I'm not going to speculate about hypotheticals. I understand everybody's, speculating about this, but right now what I have is an assurance from the Commissioner of Inquiry. What I have now is an assurance from the Commissioner, who is leading this inquiry, that they are on track to meet the 16th of March reporting date. So I don't think it's helpful to speculate about other hypothetical situations. Right now, I have a real situation to deal with, and that's what I'm going to do, and my job is to let the Commission get on with their job.
If there was a class action, though, it would be in the billions. Is this something that would massively impact on the bottom line of the state, or bankrupt the state?
Well, I think there were about 3 ifs in that statement, so let's wait and see when we've got the facts. Okay, thank you. Sure. Yep.
Can we just get a couple of cutaways before
Oh,
we
sorry,
actually
yeah.
go in there?